I can remember prayer, and Ethan can tell you that the moment that I found out that one of my closest friends had become a news story, and that really hits home because we cover so many people we don't really know. We don't get a chance to really get to know them. But in this case, all of a sudden, I'm finding out that this girl who had been tragically killed by a man who was high on meth. He was running from police, and they were pursuing him, and he hit and killed a friend of mine who, in fact, had just come to the Lord about 1 year before she died.
That was a day when prayer was necessary for us because the next day, Sara had to go out and cover a story about her friend who had been killed and talk to her husband. And we know their kids. Their kids are friends with our kids. And I had to deliver that on the news that day. So our prayer that day was for Dustin and the kids and Dana's family. And then it was for us to kind of keep it together on the air because we had to report about something so tragic that hit home in a way that most news stories don't hit home to us. All news stories hit home to somebody. So our prayer on a daily basis is that we would help somehow, that the Lord would use us to comfort people, even as we're delivering awful news.
Yeah, and I don't want to run my race, so to speak, without prayer. And hopefully for you also, it's at the outset of what you do, because so many times we can walk into what we think is going to be just another normal news day, when in fact you encounter something that could rock anyone's world. But whenever you've started with prayer, whenever it's been the intentional pursuit of your heart to commune with the Lord in the morning, and there's something about the morning, even when your alarm is creeping earlier and earlier and earlier. It's like you can encounter and do encounter the unexpected. It's like you never know what's going to be on the agenda that day. And we're just thankful, honestly, to be able to have a communion and a fellowship with the Lord at the beginning of that instead of at the end of it, or when you're in crisis mode. It's like you've developed a heart to hear from Him, to discern from Him, and then just to have the wisdom that you might need, that you don't even know you need, because you're walking through something and all of a sudden you have to make these quick decisions. And it's like, I'm glad that I know that the Lord is with me. I've heard from Him this morning. I've set Him, right there in front of me, and I will not be shaken.